The Swanson Pyramid of Greatness. I've been developing the Swanson Pyramid of Greatness for years. It's a perfectly calibrated recipe for maximum personal achievement. Categories include teamwork, very important. Equally important, selfishness. Take what's yours. America, the only country that matters. Cursing, there's only one bad word. Taxes. Animal proteins, 4 to 8 servings daily. Cow, pig, chicken, deer. Fish, for sport only. Fish meat is practically a vegetable. Friends, 1 to 3 is sufficient. Capitalism, God's way of determining who is smart and who is poor. How much postage does it take to send a letter to Canada?
Who's it going to?
Canada. It says, Dear Canada, you.
Howdy, folks. Welcome in. This is 93.1 and the Mighty 1190, 5 minutes after 9 o'clock. Frank Aikmus joins us today. He is seeking re-election for the County Commission Board. I told Frank, I said, you know, you always struck me as a pretty smart fella. But then here you go. Run for it again. But no, honestly, before we started, I really seriously asked him why run again. And you said there's projects that's not finished that you want to see finished.
That's right. There's the projects that need to be completed. There's economic development still to be done in this county. And I'm firmly committed to continuing to make Union County a great place to live and work, and that's why I'm running again.
Yeah. You, now, is this your first, what term would this be if you're elected?
This would be my third term.
Third term. All consecutive?
Correct.
Well, good for you. What's at the top of the list? What are some of the things? Well, you said there's some projects you want to see finished. Feel free to try some of that jerky if you want to. I don't know what kind of meat it is, but Archie's wife.
I believe I'll pass, but thank you.
No,
really and truly, when I first set out to run for the county commission, my primary goal was to focus on economic development. And I think if you look at the work that has been done by the Economic Development Commission, which is a board that I have proudly sat on for the past 7 years. We had our second best year in the history of the commission last year with projects that were brought into Union County, job creation. You look at the unemployment rate in Union County, it's 2.9%. Now, granted, it's high, it's low nationally, but I think a lot of the work that has been done here, not only through our Economic Development Commission, but also with Wingate and South Piedmont Community College in creating, going out to our employers and finding out what are their needs and trying to focus the curriculum in our local schools
they have
to create a workforce. I think that has played tremendously into keeping that unemployment rate low.
I agree with that.
County.
South Piedmont seems to be one of the most flexible and pliable community colleges. If they see a need and see, like, hey, there's people, this workforce needs people to do this, they'll teach it.
Yeah.
You know, which is great.
But definitely some steps in the right direction. One number that was surprising to me, 70% of people that live here work outside the county.
Yeah.
That means they're spending money outside the county.
That's right.
We've said over and over again the importance of spending your money in your home county where that money tends to stay here. There's always been a disparity of, as far as our taxes go with residential and commercial. I'd love to see, we all would, more commercial. What's being done on that front?
Well, that's exactly, kind of what I'm talking about is trying to draw in businesses into Union County to create jobs here. But, the biggest issue that we've had, and I'll be honest, it may not be a popular topic, but water has always been the biggest issue in this county. You cannot attract businesses that are high water users if you don't have a water source.
And we don't.
And we do not. And unfortunately, as we well know, the western side of the county, most of the municipalities over there control the land mass, and they have no desire to grow commercially, which means that it falls on the eastern side of the county as the only the municipalities in the county that is trying to grow that commercial base. And unfortunately, that's where the water doesn't exist.
Yeah.
We have water on the western side with the Catawba.
Yeah.
On the eastern side, we don't have a natural water source, and that's what the Yadkin project really provides for.
We put all and I know people have their own thoughts, and I've always been of the mindset that, you can agree or disagree with something, that is fine, but just please pay attention enough to it to figure out for yourself. You know what I mean? Just look at it all the way around. Look at is it good? No. I mean, nobody's happy about 33 or 32, whatever percent increase. Nobody is. But, the bypass is done, and there's virtually nothing on it, and there can't really be anything on it until there's infrastructure there for them to use. You got to have it. And that's really the only way to make that tax base equal out is doing it.
As long as we don't have a commercial tax base, the tax burden is always going to fall on the residents of this county.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer that we need to spread that out.
Mm-hmm.
In some of our committee meetings, we had Public Works Director Mr. Yee on, and there were, you guys looked at a dozen or so options.
That's right.
Including alligator water, including Anson County.
Right.
And, from what was explained to us, these were not reliable sources of water.
They're not reliable sources, and frankly, they were more expensive.
Yeah.
So, I think my charge is to look at the long-term future of Union County and make a decision that's going to best serve the citizens of this county, and I believe that's what we did with the Yadkin Water Project.
We asked him, about the 33%. Everybody knows it, and nobody likes that, including the board that voted for it. I mean, it's unfortunate. We asked the director, could this not be spread out over a longer period of time and, have a lower increase? And he said the way the financing is structured, it wouldn't allow for that.
That's right.
They need that initial money up front to start some of the project. What would you say to people that say we want the Yadkin project and ultimately a sewer plant, which is not, we're not at $900 million
No,
yet.
we're not.
We're not there yet. But they're saying you're not going to do a water plant without eventually doing a sewer plant, that kind of thing. So what would you say to the people that say we're doing this just to help developers?
I would say that's absolutely false. As I mentioned when we started here today, is my primary focus on this running for this position was economic development, and I firmly believe that water has been the biggest hindrance that we've had, and that's why the Yadkin project is so important, and that's why I supported it, and I believe that's why several of my colleagues supported it.
Big project though. When what's the timeline for it? I mean, we got to run a 36 to 42 inch water main all the way from the Yadkin. It's just going to take a while.
It's going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight.
There are hundreds of easements.
Correct.
That have to be worked through.
Did they get that last permit? Has that been squared away yet?
We anticipate that by the end of this month.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I know that was one of the things people kept asking about,
Right.
but that should be by the end of the month.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And then once it comes in, you have to get the water from the source to us, and then once it gets to us, one of the other things that people have been really concerned about is there are folks that, even if the water were here, there's no water line for them to tap onto it if they wanted to. And I know that number went from, I think, $500,000 to $6 million to furnish water lines to people who've already signed up for it and want it. And then that'll allow, how far away are we from people who live on this side of the county being able to pay and say, I want to get on water? Like, is that something that's in the short term going to be done, more water lines run?
I wouldn't, depends on how you define short term.
I got you.
It's something that we are working on now because the funding is there. We've got a water source coming in. Frankly, we couldn't really do anything if we didn't have a water source. Now that we have that, that's what the engineers are working on. It takes time and it takes money.
Yeah.
And I think through our commitment with the Short Line Water Extension Program that we're funding at $5 million.
And that's for the people that have signed up, already
Correct.
want the water.
Right.
Okay.
There were people that signed up that have been on that waiting list now for years. And essentially what we did by taking it from $500,000 to $5 million is basically say, all right, we're committed to getting those people off the list. We're going to do what it takes, and we're going to put the funding there to get these people the water that they've long waited for.
Not just $5 million though. This is $5 million for the next several years.
Yeah, $5 million
correct.
per year.
$5 million per year.
For
That's
three
right.
years.
The sad point about it, water lines are expensive.
Correct.
It is $100 a foot to lay water lines.
What?
right.
Really?
$100 a foot.
Wow. Now I didn't realize that.
And when someone says, I'm a half mile from water, well, there's $250,000.
Yes.
I mean, the county would never recoup their money to run water to you down here and you down there. And, it's a slow process. It is.
You're exactly right. And the other thing that we've got to figure out is who out there actually wants to connect to this water, because what I don't want to see happen is we just go run water lines all over the county and we don't have any customers that want to connect, now we've wasted the ratepayers' money running these water lines to nowhere.
Some people are happy with their
Correct.
wells, and they're not all bad. There are a lot. There's a number of bad ones.
Sure.
And if you have a well, it would behoove you to get that water tested.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of arsenic, in wells and manganese.
And they've
that
also
kind of thing.
come a long, long way with filtration systems.
They
So
have.
you could, you almost, for a lot of homeowners, they would need to weigh, okay, do I want to spend my money, wait for the line to come, pay the hookup fee and have a water bill, or would I be better off to put in a water filter? For a lot of people, they would be better off to put in a filtration system. I mean, they just would. And that's the thing. It's, you could run, if water line was run through the entire county by every house in this county, that doesn't mean that they're all going to pay to hook on to it.
That's correct.
And the thing is, it's almost like telling people, hey, we're having a dinner, but we need to pre-sale the tickets. They're going to be a certain number. You got to know. You kind of need to have an idea.
That's right.
Is it going to be 40%, 50, 20, 80?
Yeah, you could spend a lot of money running water lines unnecessarily.
I didn't know it cost that. I
does.
had no idea that just seems astronomical, but it doesn't surprise me.
It's not a cheap endeavor.
By the time you, I guess, have the equipment, pay the guy to dig the hole, buy the line, lay it, cover it.
It's an expensive proposition.
One of the things that I continue to hear is, well, how come Anson County could do it? Well, let's look at the income tiers. Anson County is a much less
Well, economically,
they're not as fortunate as we are here in Union County, and they were able to receive governmental grants, federal grants, to run water lines all over their county. Now, I'll tell you that they did that, and not everybody's connected to Anson County water, and frankly, they have a lot of issues because you get water in lines that just sit there and become stale. Well, then you got to spend money to flush that line out. So it's a constant upkeep, and that's what we don't want to see happen here in Union County.
One of the arguments is always, and it has been, and people need to understand how it works. They say, why don't you make developers pay for the roads and the water plant and all that stuff? Well, we can't charge impact fees.
That's right.
What's the fee?
Well, I'll tell you the impact fees being illegal in North Carolina, but we do have a connection fee.
Okay.
Or a tap fee, as they call it, and that was increased from $3,400 to $7,400 for a tap fee. So in essence, the developers, we are charging them more because that cost went up. So every house that they build, they now have to pay that additional funds on the connection.
Well,
fee.
people need to understand if I'm going to put in Morgan Manor and have 400 homes, I've got to run all those pipes out to where the water and sewer is.
That's right. And then turn that over to the county once it's completed.
Right.
Yeah, well, you're going to have to do single wide. You ain't got enough land. You're going to have to do like...
Frank, the thing is, and people need to understand, Union County can control the unincorporated areas.
Correct.
We have 14 municipalities,
That's right.
And they all set their own zoning.
That's right.
So, everyone is quick to throw out blame for the commissioners and all the growth. Municipalities are the ones that are allowing all these huge subdivisions to go in.
Right.
And when you're not talking about R40 and you're looking at your quarter-acre lots and so forth, that's high density.
It is. And I will say that we have some municipalities in this county that I think have done a tremendous job in maintaining and growing with managed growth, and I think they're doing a great job. And we have other municipalities in this county that maybe have some room for improvement.
Yeah.
Well, there's obviously for a lot of people that'll be what some people vote on. It won't be what everybody votes on. There are other people that say, hey, listen, I got a well, I've already put in filtration, I'm good.
Right.
They may vote. So what are some of the other issues other than this whole water deal we got going on?
Well, I think public safety has always been the number one priority of the Board of County Commissioners, and would continue to be. Certainly, water falls into public safety, but I think you also have to look at our first responders, continuing to support them at appropriate levels and getting them the wages that they need, so that we're not just a training ground for our neighboring counties, so that we're not bringing in highly qualified deputies, training them, and then sending them off to pay more money. As a county commissioner, I supported the increase in pay for our deputies in our sheriff's department, and that, according to the sheriff, that has paid great dividends. According to the deputies that I see in this community each and every day, they're very appreciative. They love working here. They love working for our sheriff. I'm proud to have the endorsement of Sheriff Eddie Cathy, and I'll continue to focus on that. The other big issue in this county is our schools. You know, you all can remember when we had a lawsuit with the school board, and it was a horrible environment between the Board of County Commissioners and the school board. I think you can look at that today and see that we've made tremendous improvements, not only in funding the quality of our education, but also in the commitment to work together to try to solve the long-term needs of education.
I hope the citizens of the county will look past. I mean, I know that all the talk has been about water. I get it, and a lot of people have a lot of really strong opinions about it. But look past that at other things, because you're not kidding. There was a time when, you know, I said we need to just get a wrestling ring and put the school board and the commissioners in there and let them go. I mean, and that's.
But Frank, it doesn't appear that Union County Public Schools are going to be getting the funding out of Raleigh and Governor Cooper than was anticipated. Do you think that they're going to come to the commission?
We'll find out. I think we meet in 2 weeks with them. Like I said, the relationship between our two boards has tremendously improved. I feel like we're very open and transparent with each other regarding our needs, and we try to accommodate each other. So I mean, I don't anticipate that the school board is going to come in and ask for some ridiculous amount, much like they did in the past, because they understand. You know, I mean, we have limitations.
Yeah, it gets to a point where, you know, when you got an entity like that that's dependent on several different sources of funding, right? The county should step up and do their part. But I don't think anybody in this county would argue that. I mean, you look at the budget and what percentage of it goes to schools, and anybody would have to say, "Wow, that's."
It's right there on your tax bill.
That's right.
Some more federal money would be nice. Some more state money. The governor actually signing a budget would be really nice. And that's not the county's fault.
No.
You know, so that's going to affect every county, not just ours.
Mm-hmm. Frank, what about fire districts? As far as speak to that, is that something y'all are about to tackle?
We are. We have been discussing that, and we're getting ready to deliberate it a little more to try to balance out the fire funding, because frankly we've been subsidizing a lot of the smaller departments that frankly don't have the income per capita in their districts that some of the other districts do, and so we're trying to balance that out.
How does it work now? Because I'm in the city now, so I mean, do people still come around? They used to come around and collect dues.
They used to do that. They don't do it so much anymore. We still have a few departments that do independent fundraising, and frankly, you know, that does help, but the cost of protection has gone up tremendously.
Well, look at the equipment.
Right. I mean, and you know, it's mandated that they replace that equipment, and so we're charged with keeping these people safe, and certainly with public safety being our number one concern, that's not something that we're going to skimp on, and we have to pay for it.
You know, this county is a big county, and it's still a lot of people not realize that it's still in very large part a rural county.
Very much.
There are you know, there's a lot of country land in this county, and all those fire departments are important. And I got a friend of mine who serves on a board of I want to say it's Lanes Creek that he serves on, and it ain't cheap.
It's not.
They go buy something. It's not.
It's not cheap.
It ain't hundreds, it's thousands, tens of thousands.
It is really a diverse county.
Yeah, it
is. It's 100 square miles, and you drive from end to end, and just look at the different, you know, the way people live. Some people love high density. And,
it's like you're in two different states. You drive across this county.
You know,
Marvin to Marshall, you can see a lot of different topography.
Certain parts of the county is huge on agriculture, and other, you know, and it's just interesting being on these committees, because, you know, you talk to the ag committee. I mean, that's important. We've got a huge ag community, but if you're not into that, you don't know anything about it.
Not only is it a huge community, but you look at it, you know, statewide, it's what, 2 or 3, second or third in agriculture in the state. So it's a big money maker too for.
It's just funny how things have changed. You know, surveys and all have been taken, and the young people now. I mean, you know, the American dream, owning a home. But they don't want a yard anymore.
That's right.
They want a park to go to.
Yes.
You know, you see these nice big homes, and you know, and I'm looking at them like, gosh, they got no yard. Well, that's what they want. They don't want a yard. They don't want to have to spend Saturday out mowing and weeding.
Not me, man. I like to mow. That's my only escape.
You know, I know.
It's a great relaxation.
It's just
isn't it?
funny how you know, things change.
Yeah. Having grown up in a rural community, a farm community, growing up on a farm myself, I have a tremendous respect for our agriculture community. I mean, that's what built this county. That's what built this country. And so, as a county commissioner, I'm as committed to agriculture as I am to, the western side of the county. So
Now, how many of you guys are up this time for reelection?
there's two.
Two of you.
Commissioner Helms and I are both running
Okay,
for reelection.
so y'all both are running this time for reelection,
And there'll be a primary.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, and early voting has started.
Early voting started yesterday, runs through the 29th, and election day is March 3rd.
Yeah, I've been
It's
tickled.
right
I've,
around the corner.
all over Facebook this morning. I'm already seeing people. I voted early. They
Yeah.
got their stickers. So
Yeah.
it is important to a lot of people. And
Right.
and I'll say this. I say it every time it happens. Voter turnout be 10%, and 99% of people will complain.
That's
Go
right.
vote. Go vote.
You have an opportunity. Please exercise
Your
it.
ultimate way of saying I like or don't like this is to go vote.
That's right.
Well, I've said this before, and I'll beat a dead horse with it. Available online, or all the interviews we've done with all 5 members of the county commission, the 3-hour workshop between the board of commissioners and county staff, and all the information you need to make your own decision about the Yadkin project is right there.
Yeah, and I do want to take a minute and commend Wixie, because I think you all have done a tremendous job in putting the facts out. You all know as well as I do that there's a lot of misstatements being made out there. I appreciate you taking the time to get involved and find out the facts and put it out there. And if people take the time to listen to what you're telling them and what these interviews show and what these meetings show, I think they'll find that the Yadkin project is the right thing for the county.
All I know is I don't know how much pull you got in this, but we need to get that Ferris wheel at the Science Center. So you need to.
That's the mayor. That's the mayor.
You
Mayor's
better
already
take that
right
up with
there.
Mayor Kilgore and Mary Holloway
county
and
money
Lynn
on
Desai.
that. Yeah, we need a little county money.
Now, Lynn got a aquatic center.
Yeah, he did.
The mayor
Now,
needs the Ferris.
Are we in the city limits?
Yes, we are.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
never mind. We was thinking about buying a pirate ship for out here.
We pay both. They may have we have to get a permit.
Well, listen, man, we appreciate you coming in and talking with us today, and
I
I
appreciate
I
y'all.
know you and have known you long enough to know you'd appreciate their vote.
I will. I would very much so. Thank you.
All right, we'll take a break.
Thank you, Frank.
We'll be back. More coming up after this.